Welcome back, Part 8, FMS Avanti 18th Anniversary Edition. Turbine conversion using the top design kit from RC Castle. Continuation from Part 7 about the brakes. So I've got the wires all wired in here to the DB9 connectors here on the sides of the body. And you can see here's the two wires. So I ran them in the same port and came out, where the existing wires were, ran them under the board, came out on the second hole here right in front of the green board, because I plan on mounting the brake controller somewhere in this area. Once again, CG is going to determine final placement, but my plan is put brake controller here. And wings are done, tested, everything works fine. So those two pins, like I said, those are the perfect pins to use, so you can seamlessly integrate it in and don't have to worry about any wires or anything. You can see how my layouts, batteries, I'm hoping the batteries will all be about right in here. You can see the green board now, so this is all the lights tied into one. This is for the front wheel gear. Nose wheel has its own channel. For mine, it's channel 10. What I want to do next is go over the radio settings I use for my brakes. Maybe it'll help you guys maybe set up yours for the proportional brakes. Whatever. Just let me know if you got any questions or need anything. All right. Alright, so as far as radio settings, of course you can see I'm using the iX20, but DX and NX series, it's basically the same, just the screens look different. Alright, so what I did was I created a mix, right, called it brakes. And what this mix does is it takes LLV, which is my slider here on the left, right, and it's putting it into aux 10. So aux 10 is my position as the channel on the receiver for my brakes, right? Now switch A is going to control it back here. Switch A for me is gear, right? So when the switch is towards me, that's gear is down. Okay, and switches away from me, gear is up, right? The way I always remember that is I want to go forward. So push the switch forward, go forward. I want to take off, I want to go. All right? So switch is back. We're in the landing phase, so we want the brakes on. So if I switch to forward, as you can see, she said gear up. I also have her saying things for me. But on the gear up position, I have the curve set all the way down here, and I put in -100 values because there's no reason to be wasting battery power having the brakes on if the gears are up. So just by putting it down here at -100, it makes sure that the brakes are off and it's not trying to draw battery power to keep brakes on. Okay, so
gear down, gear up, gear down.
Okay, so gears down now. I'm coming in for landing. Now, the reason my curve is set up this way is it takes a certain percentage at first to get the brakes to turn on. You'll hear it go click, right? And so with my slider all the way down, of course, it's at -100, so no brake power. And just one click, okay? Second click. The second click already now, that makes sure that the brakes are on. And it's going to be, they're on full. So if I go to the next click, the third click, or the third ratchet on that slider, now I'm in my proportional brakes. All right, and so now as I move up, once I get here to 50%, the slider's in the middle. Okay, I have that set at 20%. Okay, so that's just a little bit of friction on the wheels. So right as the plane lands, it's going to start decelerating. Right, and then go back, 1, 2, 3. Fourth click up from there puts us at 40%. It's kind of it's kind of a medium setting, and there's a lot of friction there, so it's going to be coming down real fast. And then all the way up is 125%. She's not moving. And you can do your carrier takeoffs now if you want to, throttle up fully, drop the brakes, away it goes. All right. So that's the whole reason I did that. Now, some of you may want, if you've never done, curves in the mixing or anything, you might be wondering, how do I add points? Because the stock, if you look at when the gear is up, when you do a mix, first do it, you only get 3 points. And so in order to add another curve, or add another point, I should say, move to the point that you're, like, say I want to add a point between this one and the middle right there. I would move the slider, or move the cursor somewhere in between, right? Scroll down here and it tells you can add a point. And that's how you add points and curves. Now say you wanted to delete a point. Let's just say we want to delete that point in the middle. You can see once I put that cursor there, see it moving? When the cursor there is in the middle, now I have the option to delete the point. So that's how you add and delete points when it comes to these curves and mixing. Alright? So once again, now you can see my values. So slider all the way down is -100. Position 2 is 100%. That makes sure that the brakes are here. Go click and make sure that the brakes are on. Because it takes about 40 to 60, somewhere in there, before the brakes will finally just click on and actually work. So you got to get over that hump first, and that's the whole reason for that spike. Okay? And then so 2, make sure that we get the brakes engaged. Point 3, which is this point right here, is start of the proportional brakes. So it's very, very light braking at that one. And then once we get to point 4, we're at 20%, which I said is mild friction, but it's going to start decelerating the plane as soon as the wheels touch the ground. All right? Point 5, 40%. That's medium friction. It's going to slow down. It's going to slow down considerably faster there. And then of course point 6 is 125%. Those brakes are locked. It's not moving anywhere, not anywhere at all. All right. Okay. So we'll get back out of that now, and you can see how I set up my brakes. Your channels might be different. But here you can see how I've done all my channels. Throttles on 1, right ailerons on 2, right elevators on 3, rudders on 4, flap is on 5. Remember, I didn't separate the flaps. The flaps are wide together. 6 is left aileron. 7 is my gear. Okay. 8, left top trim analog. Okay. This one right here. So that is for my flap system, so I can trim my flaps in flight. And like flaps are on this switch here. So at any position in there, I can trim, and it'll remember the trim settings for each position of the switch. So I don't have to get in there and mechanically adjust, the elevator or anything like that. I can just do it on the fly. That's that OTF, on the fly thing. Now I'll show you that in another video when we go over a whole radio setup. All right. So 9 is my left elevator. Of course, 10 is my brakes. And that's inhibited because there's really no input coming into it. The input to 10 on aux 10 is the mix. Okay? So remember, in the mix, right, we set the input being LLV, which is the slider, and it's going to aux 10. So that's our input into the channel. So that's why on the channel assign screen it says inhibited, because there's nothing else coming in but this slider on the left-hand side. Okay? And that about wraps that up. If you got any questions, post it in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them.